Learner Characteristics of Middle Year Students by Bridie, Nikki, Ria and Jospa. Cognitive developments and their effect on student learning. Structurally, the brain's frontal lobe is the last to develop. The frontal lobe is responsible for helping us to plan, control our impulses, make wise judgments, and be kind, caring people. Evidently, teenagers are all wired up for emotions, running away, romance and fighting, but not so ready for forward thinking, planning and controlling their impulses. As teachers, we need to not get frustrated when we ask, "Didn't you think of the consequences?" Chances are they aren't fully qualified to yet. Synaptic pruning. The brain removes connections that aren't being used and strengthens those that are. In other words, use it or lose it.
The adolescent brain is far more flexible, far more adaptable than we had ever realized before. There's enormous potential for change, and not just change in sort of psychological dimensions, but actual physical, anatomical changes.
At the beginning of adolescence, the prefrontal cortex goes through a burst of growth as neurons reach out to connect to other neurons, much as they do throughout the brain during early childhood. And just as in children, the connections between neurons in the teenage brain grow stronger, or they are pruned back and wither away.
Sort of nature's way of making sure that the connections that do survive are hardy and robust.
There are some consequences that come from such heavy brain development. These include attention problems, lack of motivation, trouble selecting important information, risk-taking, and mood swings. While these consequences may occur, it doesn't mean that middle years learners aren't capable of complex thinking. As teachers, we just have to adapt to their cognitive needs.
Physical characteristics and the effects on student learning outcomes. Physical development of young adolescents is the most striking to any onlooker. Everyone is looking at me. A young adolescent thinks this as he or she walks through the halls, stands in front of the class to give a report, or dribbles a ball down a basketball court.
It takes a lot of things to raise a healthy child, and healthy kids do better in school. They have better jobs, they lead better lives, they marry healthier husbands and healthier wives. Good health is a skill, and teachers need to teach it. Now you got me preaching, so I might as well preach it. Health is not a one-semester class you take in middle school. It should be a part of every subject, not the exception, but the rule. Learn about good health in math, in English, and in social studies. Work on a project about nutrition in science with your buddies. And parents need to be involved too. Teachers can't do this alone. Good health starts at home. We need to own this issue because the stakes are high. What does it matter if we try to increase our scores in math and reading if scores are dying before their time because they got fatter and fatter? Healthy students make wealthy earners, not to mention better learners. The choices you make every day have the biggest impact in the biggest of ways. Check it. Why else would they say an apple a day keeps the doctor away? So we need to value health education the way we value math and reading. We can't keep feeding our children the same old lessons like junk food full of saturated fat and sugar and chemicals. We can do better than that. We can and we will. And that's the truth, because the future belongs to the healthy youth. Amen.
Young adolescents are painfully self-conscious about their appearance. They all want to blend in and look like everyone else, but the range of physical appearances found during this age group makes that impossible. A teacher sensitive to the physical changes of his or her students are experiencing can make a world of difference to a young person. How teachers can support the physical development of young adolescent students. respect and understand the physical changes that students are going through, vary instructional methods to allow for physical activity and movement, allow for open and honest discussion about issues of development, puberty, and sexuality. Allow for stretch, bathroom, and snack breaks during long blocks of time. Allow ample time in the school schedule for developing physical fitness. Physical aspects of middle school learners. They experience rapid, irregular physical growth, have varying maturity rates, with girls tending to mature 1.5 to 2 years earlier than boys. Experience relentless and fatigue due to hormonal changes, and develop sexual awareness that increases as secondary sex. Are concerned with bodily changes that accompany sexual maturation and changes resulting in an increase in nose size, protruding ears, long arms, and awkward posture. Often lack physical fitness with poor level of endurance, strength, and flexibility.
Social characteristics of middle years learners. This time is quite crucial for students as they often find themselves searching for approval and acceptance from other peers. Students are very vulnerable at this point in time as they start to develop their own beliefs, values, and attitudes. This can be challenging for some as the influence by media, parents, and peers can play an important role. Not only is entering a new school quite daunting, but adolescents often become quite intimidated and frightened by the large numbers of students and teachers in their first years of middle schooling. It is common for students to experiment with and use what they call new slang. This can result in adopting such behaviours to become popular among peer groups.
Kids in the class don't even care because they're doing their work and they're concentrating and it's boring, and all of a sudden they get a joke and they just get a little break from their work and they get to laugh. So if that's being disruptive, then fuck you. That's not disruptive, that's entertainment. I'm just getting the worksheet, miss. Let me do some work for once.
Quietly, thank you.
I'm doing it quietly. There you go, Homo.
Don't use... Jonah, do not use that word in this class, thank you.
Why not? It's an English word. This is an English class, isn't it?
Well, Jonah now has a contract. I got Jonah to come up with a list of promises that he thought he could fulfil in areas where he felt that he could make an improvement in himself. So we've got behavioural promises and academic objectives, and it works remarkably well.
No,
Miss, what is it next to Leon? I'll learn more.
Over there now.
Fuck you, miss.
Beg your pardon?
I said fuck you with a P. Did you even know how to
I know
spell
what you
miss?
meant. And you
I have to do all the work required in class and respect all teachers. I like what you're wearing, miss. Looks nice on you. Is that from
Jonah,
Suzanne's?
what did your contract say about talking in class?
At this stage, students find themselves always competing against others. This does not always take place during sport. This can also relate back to being popular amongst peers. This stage in an adolescent's life is highly based on comparing oneself to others. It can also result in problems as they express concern about their ability to meet expectations set out by parents. Some teaching approaches to help address social characteristics of middle years learners include: always encourage students to express their opinions through oral language. As students imitate and learn from peer behaviours, this can be a vital indicator for achieving success within the classroom. Provide new stimuli that enhances motivation and prevents students from distraction and boredom. Provide a safe environment where everyone's opinion is accepted and students can learn from each other. Encourage positive behaviours by students, which helps peers to recognise successful behaviour.
Moral development and the effect on student learning. Students in the middle years are moving from moral reasoning, which focuses on what's in it for me, to thinking in a way which considers the feelings and rights of others. They are moving from acceptance of an adult moral judgments to development of their own personal values. They are capable of and value direct experience in participatory democracy. They ask large, unanswerable questions about the meaning of life, do not expect absolute answers, but are turned off by trivial adult responses. They are reflective, analytical, and introspective about their thoughts and feelings. Moral development in the middle years students differs depending on their access to different resources. While most students are influenced by home and church for moral and ethical development, adolescents for whom these resources are absent may struggle as they face different issues in the curriculum, in the media, and in daily interactions they experience in their families and peer groups. Kohlberg stages of moral development. The main focus is in middle school learners. Stage 3, good interpersonal relationships. They believe that people should live up to the expectations of the family and community and behave in good ways. Stage 4, maintaining social order. At stage 4, in contrast, the respondent becomes more broadly concerned with society as a whole. Now the emphasis is on obeying laws, respecting authority, and performing one's duties so that other social order is maintained.
Emotional characteristics of middle school students. Self-concept. Young children develop a firm awareness that they are separate from others and have individual characteristics. Self-esteem. Learners making judgments about their own worth and competencies, their self-esteem. They feel that they are liked or disliked depending on how well they can do things and are easily influenced. Empathy. The ability to understand and respond to the feelings of others. Adolescents can provide comfort and support for a peer, sibling, or parent. It isn't simply uniforms that promote learning, nor timetables or lessons. It is the concept of developing students' emotions within an educational environment that will enhance individual learning needs. Typical emotional characteristics of middle year learners teachers should be aware of. Experience simultaneous emotional conflicts. They seek to sort fact from fiction in regards to sexual development. Their moods may shift rapidly. They can be easy to offend and sensitive to criticism. They believe personal problems, experiences, and feelings are unique to themselves, and they search for the answer to who am I. These are our references. Created by Nicole, Brady, Ria, and Josipa. Thank you for listening.